Happy Friday, y'all. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning back in with me. Y'all read the title. Y'all came back. Thank you again. And we just gonna go ahead and get right into it. Y'all already know it's gonna be a vibe, so make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Still working on the intro for y'all. Cause we family now, y'all. We family. Y'all keep coming back. So yeah, I'm working on that for y'all. Like I said, y'all already read the title. It is Friday. Before we get into the title, though, before we get into the topic, before we get into anything, please drop it in the comments and tell me how your week was. I am a person of substance. I don't want to just come on here running my mouth. I really, really, really want to get to know y'all. So how was your week? It is Friday. We made it to the end of the week. I'm going to do my very best to get this vlog out for y'all early so that my folks that's working, y'all can watch this while y'all are working. And we got some real important things to discuss today, and they're all personal to me, and I'm going to share my personal story as far as how I've overcome each of these things. I'm almost 32. I'll be 32 next month. It is December 1st, so this is not going to be no Christmas theme involved. I'm not going to be doing Vlogmas this year, but next year, y'all got something in store. So y'all just stay tuned. Help me build this channel up so that y'all can help me get to that Vlogmas goal of mine next year. I do have my handy dandy notebook here. So I'm a talker. I'm a freely talker, so I'll be on here running out of storage, running out of battery, so I got to keep myself on track with this. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. But like I said, I've already talked too much, so let's go ahead and get into the video, y'all. All right, so if you follow me on Instagram, I recently shared that just a little bit about myself on my Instagram. I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, and I moved here to Georgia when I was in middle school. I was in the 6th grade. I was actually in the 6th grade going into the 7th grade. So that's middle school, right? Yeah. So, and of course I didn't want to move here. All of my cousins was back in Detroit. That's all I knew. All I knew was Detroit. You know, my grandma was there, is still there. Like all of my family is still there. I have an aunt that lives here. Her whole family lives here. And then my mom lives here too. Yeah, so, and I have other family, other places, but for the most part, when me and my mom moved me here, it was just us. We were the only ones that was here, so it was difficult for me, you know, and along with that came a lot of different things that I had to encounter moving here, and I was still a youth, I was still young, and I wasn't identifying as a lesbian at this time. I was straight. I was, you know, I had a boyfriend, like, but I was such a tomboy. I was very much a tomboy, and so, you know, but I was raised a Christian, so, you know, lesbian, absolutely not. That's not me. Like, don't put that on me. That's not me. But it was in me. It was in me, you know, but I'll get there. I'm gonna try to follow my book. I'm very excited about this, if y'all cannot tell. So I hope not to jump to topics because I am a talker and I'm trying to combat my anxiety on this camera, and I'm trying to give y'all real topics but still be appropriate, you know. So that's keeping all of that in mind. That's a task that ain't nothing to a giant. So we gonna get it done. So yeah, I came here. I did not identify as LGBTQ plus anything. At least I didn't know it. Everybody in my family, they already knew that I was a tomboy. I had a boyfriend, but that was just it. I just had a boyfriend, you know. So we came here, you know, I moved here, whatever. And obviously I started school. And I'm the only child. I don't know if I said that I am the only child. I have no siblings. I have a cousin who has a very similar name that I have, and we have always been close, especially before I moved here, you know. Unfortunately, distance make y'all grow apart, you know, some, but the love is always there on both ends. She know I love her. I know she loved me, but I lost that just a little bit of that sister connection, and we're slowly getting it back now that we're older. We both have kids. Like, we like, okay, let's make a trip, let's plan. You know, it takes work to connect with your family. So I'm saying all of that to say I am the only child. I don't have any siblings, no sisters, no brothers. It's just me. And so you can imagine how that was. My mom moved me here. It was just me and her boyfriend at the time. He actually came later. So initially it was me and my mom. Okay. So, sorry, I had to, my storage was full, you know what I mean? Like, vlogging on the phone is not for the weak at heart, okay? You gotta delete old stuff. You gotta constantly make a decision on what you don't have room for anymore and what's to come. Everything is, I'm such a dramatic person, not necessarily, I'm just dramatic. Take it how you want. So everything means something deeper to me. Anyway, getting back to the topic. So I moved here. My mom moved me here in middle school. When I came here in middle school, there was a lot that I was drawn to. A lot of things caught my attention. But the most thing was these girls, they would always like me. And they would always assume that I was a lesbian. In fact, that one girl actually asked me, and I was like, no, like I was ready to fight. I came from Detroit, and you asking me if I'm a lesbian, like I'm ready to tussle because you trying me. I don't get down like that. And that's actually exactly how I addressed her. But deep down, there was some attraction. There was some attraction to women, not necessarily her, but like women, you know. But I wasn't proud enough to stand on that for so many different reasons. So that was my first encounter with somebody actually asking me directly, like, oh, you cute, you know, you one of us. I'm like, nah, you know. Long story short, I'm like, nah. So I went to school, you know, and that didn't stop. It didn't stop with just that one girl. It kept happening. In fact, I found myself being more comfortable because this is who I am. So the first couple of girls I dated, they were actually masculine presenting. There's no shame in my game. This is before I found myself. This is before I created myself. And it didn't feel right. Like, you know, we would be doing our thing or whatever, but I knew that like, nah, I don't like that a lot like that. Like, I want to be on the other side. So there was this one girl, and I used to say that she made me into a stud. I used to call myself a stud. I do not anymore. So I don't really take offense to it because everybody have their own verbiage, but if you can help it, if you remember, please don't call me a stud. Masculine presenting or just a woman will work for me. But I'm okay because I understand labels are just, you can't really help it. So if you happen to call me a stud, I won't take offense to it. It's okay, but that's just not my preference. It's not what I identify as myself. So I used to say that this girl, she made me a stud because she was the first feminine woman that I dated, and she really was just my first experience with that dynamic of a lesbian relationship. So it was kind of messy though, because it was my ex-girlfriend's ex-girlfriend. For some reason, I've always gotten myself in situations like that. We'll get to that point on another vlog at another time. Stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button. Don't you forget, because that's coming up. Maybe not the next video, but in another series and another topic. After y'all get to know what I want y'all to know right now, then I'll get into that. But so anyway, yeah, so that was the first experience that I had, and that really set the tone for me. And there was this, so I went to Campbell Middle School. That's the middle school I went to. I went to Campbell Middle School, and there was this girl. I actually follow her on Instagram. You know who you are. And I was very much inspired by her because I wanted to be like her. But when I say I wanted to be like her, that means that I wanted the confidence. I wanted to walk like she walked, not replicate her style or her being, but I wanted to be proud, masculine presenting. I wanted to not care what people thought. I wanted to exude the qualities that she seemed to have had, you know? So, and again, I'm in middle school. The nerve of me to have that mindset that, yeah. So anyway, So, you know, I grew into my masculine presenting ways, and so now I'm the cutest lesbian on the block, and I'm new. It's like, yeah, the hype was there, you know, so it filled my head up, it filled me up, and I got myself in a lot of trouble because my ego was full, but my soul was empty, you know, because I had allowed for everything to create me. And I had to kind of really, I won't say I allowed everything to create me, but I just wasn't thriving in my most confident self. And I wasn't 100% sure that this is what I was supposed to be doing because, again, I was raised as a Christian and it was conflicting for me because I'm like, yo, I was scared that I was going to go to hell because I'm doing something that I want to do, but I'm afraid because I believe in God and He's not going to love me, and like all of these different things, you know, that I had to eventually grow out of. So I'm in middle school, you know, I'm thriving. So then I go to high school. I'm still this cute stud in high school. So then, you know, I get different girlfriends. And like I've already told y'all, I've always attracted people's friends. I just don't know why. Like that's the most toxic thing about me. Not the most toxic, but that's pretty toxic. So that's just me being real with y'all, man. So, okay, so I'm in school. I go to high school, whatever. It's the same energy. I get the same energy, you know, and in high school, my mom found out, like, and that's one of the things that I really regret. Actually, she found out in middle school. I'm a very private person. I've always been a very private person. So I had got suspended at school for letting my ego run me, you know. And I didn't tell my mom, and I was supposed to stay after for ISS. So if I didn't tell my mom, I didn't stay after. I was also a lot of the teachers' favorite, but I had to get in trouble. So I just thought that I was slick as grease and I would just get away with it. I got my little self on the bus to go home after school. So they called my mama. Girl, my mama came home and she wasn't having it. My mama, one thing about her, she don't play about school. She never played about school. She never plays about handling my business, prioritizing my life, my health, all of that. Like, that's always been her. So, you know, so that was a thing. So she found that I was gay. She went through my book bag, and it's something to this day that I regret because me and my mom, we were tight like glue. And that put a really big damper on our relationship because whereas I had the ability to come to her and tell her, hey, I like women, I was battling my own insecurities with that. So, sorry, I got a message. I was battling my own insecurities with that. So, of course, and I'm still in middle school, so I'm not mature enough to be like, hey, Ma, this is who I am. But I wish that I was because I'm pretty sure our relationship and life and everything would be much different, you know, but I didn't, and that's okay. So she found out, and honestly, when she found out, without saying too much, that changed our lives forever. So I started running away because she too was raised as a Christian. And I became a runaway teen because I want to live a certain life and I'm trying to get away from whatever, you know, I'm trying to get away from my mom because it just wasn't flying, like no sugarcoating, no nothing. She did not accept it. She had a hard time accepting it. I am her only child. My dad passed away when I was 3. And you gay? Like, you know what I'm saying? And although, like, the person that I am today, I really understand both sides. I understand, and I understand everything. Even if I don't agree with it, I understand it. But I understand all of those years back having a hard time accepting your child being a lesbian. My mom was the very first person in our family to have encountered something like this. So it was hard for us. Y'all. It was hard for her to accept it. We were in church, you know, and we had already, like, I believe that, like, she thought it was a phase. She thought it was a phase that I was going through. Hell, I thought it was a phase I was going through. And I know a part of her, she wanted for me to be proud. She wanted for me to like, cause she would always tell me, even now, she would be like, one day Nika would want to wear a purse, and then the next day she would want to sag her pants. And it's like, you know, she knew her kid too. So she knew that I was hella influenced at school, and she just didn't know. You know, this is our first time. She just moved me away from Detroit, and yeah, I moved her away from Detroit to have a better life, but not to get into all of that. So it was hard, to say the least. It was hard. It changed our life. So I became a runaway teen because I'm trying to get away from that, because deep down in here, I know what I want, you know. But I was still open. I was still an open book. I would go to church, and I remember specifically my pastor at the time, because like people would come and they would like bless our house because this is not how I was raised. This is not of me, you know. And they would put oil on the walls, and I felt like, yo, like I know that my mom is doing something. She's doing what she knows. But I feel like how is it that I love God and he loves me, but I'm doing something so wrong? Like, I'm in middle school, y'all. High school at this time. Middle school, it happened for like a while. And I'm just carrying this on, and I'm just still figuring it out. But you know, I even tried to like wear a purse and dress up like a girl at church. Like my pastor was like, just try it and see how you feel, you know. I would have like different meetings with him. Shout out to my pastor, near and dear to my heart, him and his wife. They played a very vital, important role in my childhood growing up. So I appreciate them and everybody in the church. We actually just had we caught up with some people at the church couple of weeks ago, so that was all good. It was like healing and refreshing, because I am able to be this proud lesbian and still love God, and God still love me. So that was a whole other thing in itself. But I'm just on here telling my story, y'all. This is nothing bad. This is just what I've gone through and how it's molded me to be who I am. So yeah, he would talk to me, you know. We was working with trying to get the devil out of me, trying to get this spirit out of me. And you know, he would be, I remember him saying like, just dress up, you know, just dress up, wear a purse, dress like a female, because it's also a sin to wear men's clothing. Like, that's a sin. You don't do that. So I came to church and I was dressed up like a girl, y'all, and it was everything but me. Like, so yeah, I didn't want to do it anymore. And so, you know, I became a runaway teen. So that led me to be in the system at a very, very, very young age. In fact, I spent my 18th birthday in Cobb County Correctional Facility, like the grown-up people. And that was because that was like my third offense, running away. And I had ran away when I was 17, going into my 18th birthday. Shout out to my girlfriend. I follow her on, my girlfriend at the time when I was locked up. We follow each other on Instagram, so shout out to you. I learned a whole nother level of survival in jail, and I had just turned 18. So I graduated school late. I was supposed to graduate in May. I graduated in December. I got out. I still graduated. I didn't have to get a GED. I got a high school diploma, but I did not go to school. I did not go to college. I went straight to making the money because I want to live an independent life. I'm already struggling being my most secure self, but now I'm struggling because I have everybody around me trying to change me, and I'm fighting to be exactly who I want to be. So, you know, that just carried on. So, you know, at a young age, I actually moved in with my girlfriend and her mom at the time. And then me and her, I started life early, y'all. So I got in the corporate world early. And I remember I got my first apartment, and I got my first apartment and I got fired because I couldn't stay off my cell phone. Can you imagine that? This was like 2010, 11. Nah, I had just graduated in 2010, so this is more like 2000, maybe 16, you know, maybe 2016. Actually, I got my first apartment and I got fired. And I met a girl at work who's actually my ex-girlfriend. I met her at work and I started another life with her. So let me reel it back in because I feel myself getting way off topic. Let me get my handy dandy notebook. 1 second. So yeah, there's obviously gonna be a part two to this video. So I'm just gonna record it and then I'm gonna stop in the middle because storage ain't long enough, time ain't long enough, experience ain't long enough to be putting out hour-long videos. So I'm gonna give y'all part one this Friday and then part two next Friday. So stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button for me. Don't you forget. So I tried to fit in, y'all. Fitting in was like, that became easy for me to try to do because I was already a very likable person because I'm cute and I have conversation. So, you know, young, I was able to get along with the teachers. I was able to get along with the dudes, although they were like, either they liked me or they became jealous. That was annoying, but I tried to fit in and just doing different things, messing with different boys, trying to be liked very heavily because of where I came from, you know. And I mentioned being a people pleaser on Instagram too. So, well, you know, I'm gonna be here for a while, y'all. So we gonna unpack that little by little. But to really back in, you know, and kind of making a long story short, I faced a lot of these emotions and being the only child, being the only one walking in my shoes, just basically starting a whole new life all over again. It came with a lot. It came with a lot of insecurities. It came with a lot of fear. But I also, I went to therapy too. I went to therapy really early. My mom and we went to therapy. After she found out that I had a girlfriend, we definitely got in therapy. I lost my dad when I was younger. So she was kind of tying it all into that. And again, I'm her only kid. So this is her only experience, just like this is mine, you know. And just, you know, looking back, I'm able to like unpack all of these things and like really tie them into like who I am today, because that's how it is. That's how we got here. And so, you know, going into high school, getting in trouble, like I said, I was always just running away. Like I stayed running away. You know, anytime I got money, I was doing drugs. I was just being a typical teen who's crying out for help, honestly. And that's one of the reasons that my passion now is to work with our youth, because one thing that I realize is that, you know, a lot of these kids, they're in the system, but, you know, you treat a runaway teen. But before I get there, let me get my notebook again, because I got so much on my heart and in my head to say. So I try to fit in, and of course, over the years I had to find myself. And really, I read this book not too long ago, and it said how to be yourself. And one of the things that I would always I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna wrap it up. Sorry, y'all. So wrapping this first one up, you know, going into like my youth or going into high school, young adulthood, it was difficult, and I adapted a lot. I had to, because I was in jail, I was at school, I was at church. I had to be several different people in all of these different spaces, but still be me. So it was difficult, but it's also helped me to navigate through life and learn how to adapt today, because I can be the same person wherever I'm at, but there's a time and a place for everything. And, you know, I was that younger kid that always allowed for people to tell me about myself and tell me who I was, because I lacked the security, because I lacked the confidence. And, you know, a lot of people, they'll look and be like, oh, you cute. Why you insecure? You don't have no reason to be insecure. But sometimes that's a reason. You know, sometimes that is a reason, because I really need to tie this back to where I'm going and what I'm trying to say, because I'm trying to fit this all into one thing. So I'm going to just finish telling y'all about me growing up, and then I'll talk about my experience. So I went through different relationships where, you know, I carried all of me into all of those relationships. So all of my insecurities, all of my anger, all of my doubts, all of my people pleasing, it's been like, I've been a bag lady. I literally have been a bag lady for years and years, carrying these things with me. And it wasn't until I did read that book on how to be yourself. And I was like, something happened. My granddad, he actually moved here. He moved here a couple of years ago. And when he moved here, it really changed my life because that's my granddad. So I was triggered a lot. It brought up all of these different emotions, because healing always starts at the root. It always starts at the root. Not saying he's the root. Y'all gonna take this for what y'all want to take it for, but that's the root of my family, or at least one part of my family. So I take pride in my name being Anderson Gary. So before I got married, one other thing about me is that people used to always think I was married. Because my name is Anderson Gary. And like I told y'all before, my dad passed away when I was 3. And I have, I think, 2 or 3 different birth certificates. And my mom, she had to, I guess, change my name. I don't know the backstory on that. But my name is Danica Anderson Gary. And even after I've gotten married, my wife agreed to take my last name, which is Anderson Gary, which is very near and dear to my heart because I feel like I wouldn't be who I am without the Anderson and the Gary. And for a long time, I used to say, oh, you just call me Danica Gary. But now I'm really big on my name, y'all. I'm really big on my name because I'm not the Gary without the Anderson, and I'm not the Anderson without the Gary. And I take pride in that because I have family on Anderson and I have family on Gary, like we all do, both sides. But I'm the only one. Because I'm the only child, I am the only Anderson Gary. And that's really important to me because at first I used to be upset because I'm like, I feel like I'm crazy because I'm the only one who's walked in my shoes. I don't have a sibling. I don't have anyone else who's gone through these things. And sometimes our parents like to act like they don't know what happened. Sometimes our grandparents or our cousins, they try to act like, not really act like, but I'm the only one in my perspective who's walked in my specific shoes. So I can't expect anyone to remember what happened to me. And in growing into who I am, Danica Anderson Gary, I realize I am the only one who's experienced things in my lenses and my perspective, how I have experienced them. And it wasn't until recently that I had to, I've been married almost 2 years now. Shout out to my wife. And if you are in a romantic relationship, then that's going to help you unpack a lot of your childhood trauma. And even if it's not childhood trauma, because that word is offensive, because we can have a lot of things that we need to unlearn, but it's not necessarily trauma. But nobody can validate your trauma. You know what I'm saying? Nobody can validate that. If it's something that was hard for you and if it's something that you had to get over as a kid, then that's your trauma. That's your story. That's what you've gone through. So being in my relationship, not having the ability to run because I was a runner, and I'm still a runner, but I run in a healthy way. I run to music. I run to the gym. And it's just being in this relationship or in any relationship help you see yourself, because your relationship is really a mirror. And like me, I used to pride myself on like not trusting people, like I don't trust nobody, until I realized like that's not a way to live. That's like you really are living in a box, not trusting someone, because you have to trust someone, but you should never trust everyone. And these are just different things that I've had to learn, over the years of like becoming me and creating me, because, I had to filter through a lot. And being exposed to people in jail, being exposed to people at school, being exposed to teachers, like just, I have the ability to make people feel super comfortable. And that's just, I'm an Aquarius, so that's one of my traits. And I think it's because of how open we are and how much, we'll welcome you in. We don't judge you. And I like to think that I make people feel like themselves. Of course, my wife, she won't always agree because I have a very romantic, emotional relationship. So whereas I can be really dope, sometimes I get on her nerves and I don't make her feel most comfortable, but in a platonic relationship, like, I do have the ability to make people feel super comfortable and to be themselves. And that's one of the things that I pride myself on, because I didn't always have the ability to do that, because I always felt judged. I always felt like, you know, yeah, I've always felt like it was hard for me to create myself because of so many different things that I've gone through. And, you know, it just wasn't always easy for me, y'all. I do feel like this video has gone way off topic and it's way in the air, but I'm still going to upload it. But this right here is going to bring us to the end of our part 1. So if you do like this, my plan is to drop part 2, because I'm about to keep recording. My plan is to drop part 2 today. I'm sorry, y'all. My plan is to drop part 2 next Friday. But if y'all can get this video to 25 likes, no, 27. If y'all can get this video, if this video have 27 likes and I get at least 10 more subscribers, then I will drop part 2 to this video before next Friday. So what you got for me? How bad do you want to see part 2? And if it's not that bad, that's cool too. But then I'll see y'all next Friday. But outside of that, if you like this video, if it was a vibe, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. I will see y'all later with part 2 to this video, where I am giving y'all some more realness, and that's with hella love. Peace.